Okay, you guys. So this is episode 3 of the Army. No, Hammer family documentary, because it really wasn't that much about Army Hammer. I think it was just basically about his aunt and giving her say on the Hammer family and to expose all of the Hammer family because she has some kind of grievance with them because she didn't get no money from him because her brother Michael got all the money. So in episode 3, Casey, she starts off by saying that her father actually abused her. She said that she found this out after she was trying to become an actress and she did a scene in one of her friends' movies where she was supposed to be attacked by some man. And this was all just an acting scene. But she just went out of character and just started hurting and beating this guy. So she realized that she has some unresolved issues. So she says she went to a therapist or a counselor or something and just told them, I'm messed up. You need to help me. Through this, the therapist works with her and finds out there are suppressed memories that she didn't know that she had. And one of the memories was her father having relations with her. Another memory was basically her father and friends. They were doing some shooting competition. They told her to hold up a phone book. And this is when she was a little girl. She held up a phone book in front of her face or beside her face or something like that. And they shot the gun and shot into the phone book. I guess it was beside her face or above her head or something like that. But that scared her so much. And then she says she remembers running and retreating to a closet because she was so scared. Now, my thought on this is if this thing happened over and over again, there was a time, I think, in the 80s where these counselors would come up and they were on all the talk shows and they would convince people that they had these suppressed memories of their parents basically abusing them. And all these people, even Roseanne Barr had it where she said that she had suppressed memories of being abused by her parents. A lot of the times they found out, did more investigations and found out that this wasn't even true. These therapists were putting memories into these people's minds that weren't real memories. So I don't really know if I believe Casey with her story. I think that she believes that it happened. Did it actually happen? I don't know, but let's go on. So we also find out that Courtney, one of Armie Hammer's girlfriends, who we have met in the first episode, she talks about how she went in after she finally broke it off with him. She went into counseling, inpatient care, and they diagnosed her with PTSD because of dealing with Armie Hammer and all of the things that he put her through. I already talked about Michael and how he got all the money. And we find out that after he got all the money, he, as I said before, he gave it away to all these Christian organizations and made a lot of bad investments, bad deals, and basically blew through almost all the money. So I think I looked up Michael's net worth and he's worth about $1.5 million, from $40 million to $1.5 million. So, all of this stuff got exposed on Armie Hammer. He was in debt. He didn't have any money. He didn't have any acting jobs. So he went to the Cayman Islands to sell like real estate or rental properties or something like that because he needed a job because he didn't have any money. And I see like talk show hosts keep on asking him, like, you're from the Hammer family. Couldn't you ask like your family for money? And he's just like, well, no, I can't. Because they ain't got no money. Like to rich people, that ain't nothing. $1.5 million really ain't nothing to rich people. You can blow through that like within a year. We also find out Michael, who is Armie's father, people have found that he has a X throne or X chair. They call it the naughty chair. They talk about this chair. It's 7 feet tall. It has a hole, I guess, in the bottom of a chair. It has a cage underneath the chair. I wish they would have showed the chair because I'm trying to picture in my mind this big chair, a hole in the bottom, a cage at the bottom of the chair with a hook in the cage. And I think they said he took a picture with the chair, and they say it's a gag gift. They took a picture with him in the chair, and a woman was inside of the cage. So they say it's a gag gift. Michael Hammer says this is a gag gift, but people are just like, if this man is so Christian and so religious, why would you have a gag gift like that? Like, his whole family is weird. It's weird. It's weird. So getting back to Armie Hammer, we talk about that Armie Hammer has a new girlfriend. Her name was Paige Lorenz. And so they introduced Paige Lorenz. I don't think that she actually interviewed for the documentary, but they took some recordings of her, I guess, that she had done on YouTube. And so Courtney was talking about how she saw this young girl, Paige, and saw her Instagram post and saw her doing all of the same things that she did with Armie. Like, they're going moped riding. He takes Paige to the same hotel that he took Courtney to, all this stuff. Courtney says that she's looking through Paige's Instagram post, and she's there with little sexy poses, half dressed, but she says she can see bruises on her arm, bruises on her chest. And they actually show the pictures, bruises on her chest. There's one where her back is to the camera, and you see bruises all up and down her back. And Courtney says, I know that he was doing the same thing to her that he did to me. And he probably wanted to get her because she was even younger. She was like in her 20s and more impressionable. I think it was Paige. She's the one that comes out and says she is the one that Armie sent these messages to, talking about he wanted to go and take her to a doctor to get her ribs surgically removed. He wanted to go and take the ribs and barbecue them up on a grill and then eat them. I think there was another story too about how he wanted to cut off somebody's pinky toe and then just have it in his pocket so that he could always have a piece of her with him all the time. So this is where all the cannibal rumors come in about Armie Hammer. And I told you before too about how he sent that message to one of the women, how he said he was out hunting and he shot a deer and then cut the deer and took out his heart, and the heart was still beating and he bit into the heart. Like, these are some freaky, gross fantasies. Like, okay. Paige is also the one, she says in her statement that he carved he had tied her up at one point in time. He tied her up so she couldn't move. He got out a knife and carved his initial, the letter A, into her like pubic area. And she said it was a 1-inch deep cut. But when you hear from him, he says it was just like a little scratch. It was a scratch. It did bleed a little, but it really didn't bleed that much. So they show a picture of the A that is carved into her, and it's not a 1-inch deep cut like she said, but it's not just a scratch like he said. And then she said that he was all licking the wound and stuff. And I don't know. It's just, I don't know. Okay. I don't understand. So like, the whole thing about it is that Armie is getting these young girls that don't know too much about BDSM and introducing them into the lifestyle. But what he's actually doing is not really, or what he's being accused of doing is not really considered BDSM. Because with BDSM, everything should be consensual. And he's doing these things, such as tying a person up and then telling them that he is going to do something to them, like carve his initials into them. He's going to do this to them, but they have not given consent to do this thing. And they can't resist because they're tied up. So basically, it's abuse, training them to be abused, essentially, allegedly, they say it. So anyway, let's go on. They actually bring up this ex-employee of Army Hammers that did not want to be identified. So he had the silhouette going on and things of that nature. And the ex-employee, he basically just talks about how Army was very controlling. He was like, nothing sexual happened in his case, but he just wanted to help these other women by telling his story. And he tells about how Army would allegedly be drunk or high all the time. He would be driving his car and drive at like 150 miles per hour down residential streets, and it was how it was so dangerous, and it scared the living daylights out of this ex-employee. But he felt like he still had to, be there and do whatever Army wanted him to do for fear of losing his job, because Army would hang that over him all the time. He says that they went to a strip club one time and Army made him get a lap dance from a dancer, even though that he didn't want to do it. He also tells about a time where he was told to pick up one of Army's friends from the airport. And so what Army wanted him to do when he picked up the friend was go in the airport and have a sign, because so I've had this done where you basically go on the airplane, you don't know where you're going, so there's somebody with a sign with your name on it, like the driver is there with your name on it, so you know to go to them when you get off the airplane. But this ex-employee had to hold up the sign. It didn't say the person's name because he was going to be the driver for the person. It didn't say the person's name. It said the F got homosexual slur. It said the F got on the piece of paper that the driver had to hold up. And the driver felt like that was very humiliating because he's standing there with the piece of paper in this airport with this slur on it, and he had to be there. And he said he felt very humiliated. Let's see. They said some more about Casey, and in 91 she went back to live with her father, and she said her father was crazy. He was taking meth and cocaine and things of that nature, and he was just absolutely out of his mind. He would wake her up in the middle of the night, basically just to make sure that she wasn't a demon. Like it seems like all of them were like or allegedly all of them were abusive or coked up, doped up, alcoholed up, all the ups they were. So at the end of the documentary, they ended it with this. So this is not a long one. They ended it with this, that basically we know that Armie Hammer they were going to charge him with grape, but since that girl Effie, she didn't make her statement to the police, she would not do that. So they dropped the grape charges. Armie went to rehab. He said that his life is better now. He's doing the talk show rounds and the podcast rounds right now, trying to rehabilitate his reputation in the Hollywood scene, because he's saying that he didn't do this. He didn't do anything wrong. All of this was consensual, but the women basically said that this was not consensual. He says it's BDSM, and in total honesty, I think that he thinks that he didn't do anything wrong. He does not see any faults in his own actions except for some maybe emotional manipulation. That's all he sees wrong. That's basically it. So Armie Hammer is trying to come back into the entertainment industry. I think that Armie Hammer is a great actor. He's done some great movies. But I think also that Armie Hammer got some real issues, deep-seated issues, because there was one thing in there where, and he kind of uses this as an excuse on the talk shows that I've seen him on the podcast that I've seen him on, where he says that when he was little, somebody in the church was very inappropriate with him, an older man, when he was a young boy, and he didn't have any control. And he said that he told his parents about this older man, told his parents that he didn't feel comfortable with this older man in the church. And the parents kind of brushed it off like, hey, this is a church guy. Like, what are you talking about? He's done a lot of great things. So he was brushed off. So I guess for an ongoing time, this person did these actual things to Armie, and he felt like he wasn't in control. So now with his ex-life as an adult, Armie likes to be in control. So I'm going to do another video going over the Air article where they actually interviewed Army Hammer and how he said that he is basically innocent. But then I'm also going to go over the text messages that were put out there from Effie and some other women as well to contradict what he actually said in the article. So I don't know when I'm going to do that. Maybe sometime next week. But until then, I'll talk to you guys later. This is some crazy, wild stuff with Army Hammer. Allegedly, they said.